Welcome back to Vuln Vibes, everybody. You know what time it is? It's time for the WP Safe Block,
Yeah.
where we dive into the latest WordPress vulnerabilities, keeping your WordPress site safer one vulnerability at a time.
Right.
Even superheroes need security patches.
They do.
So today we're looking at two plugins, String Locator and a directory.
Yeah.
Pretty popular plugins. Both have some vulnerabilities that could put your site at risk.
Mm-hmm.
So let's start with String Locator.
Okay.
This plugin, it helps you find and replace text strings across your site. Super helpful for managing content. But the problem is it's got this PHP object injection vulnerability affecting all versions up to 2.6.6.
Yeah, that's a bad one.
I know, right?
Okay.
PHP object injection.
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds scary, and I think it is.
It can be.
Can you kind of break it down for us? Like, what exactly is PHP object injection?
Yeah, so essentially it's all about attackers sneaking in malicious code. Think of it like you're expecting a package. Nice harmless package at your door, and instead a hacker's replaced it with a bomb. And when the website tries to open it, boom, that code gets executed, and that can lead to some pretty serious stuff. File deletion, data theft, even, remote code execution.
Yeah, that does sound pretty scary.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got this vulnerability we need to be aware of, but, I think back to what you said at the beginning, like, under the right conditions.
Yeah.
What exactly are those conditions? What makes this vulnerability exploitable?
So just having the vulnerability doesn't automatically mean your site's toast.
Yeah.
In this case, the string locator vulnerability requires what we call a POP chain.
A POP chain.
Yeah.
Okay, I've heard that term before, but
Yeah.
can you maybe explain that a little bit?
Sure. So think of it like a domino effect, right?
Right.
One vulnerable piece of code triggers another, and then another, and then another, until the attacker reaches their ultimate goal.
Okay.
And that goal could be, hijacking your admin account or defacing your entire website.
So, like, they need this POP chain to set off this, like, chain reaction.
Right.
So practically speaking, what does that mean for someone who's using String Locator? Like, when does this vulnerability actually become a problem?
Okay, so specifically with this one, it only becomes a problem when an administrator is performing a search and replace action using the plugin.
Okay.
So it's not just, somebody can exploit it from anywhere. They need that very specific action to be taking place.
So basically, don't just blindly hit, replace all.
Exactly.
Got it. Okay, so String Locator, a little cautionary clicking there. But let's move on to our next plugin, a directory.
Okay.
So this one helps you build, online directories, right?
Yeah.
But it also has a PHP object injection vulnerability.
Yep.
In all versions up to 1.6.5.
Mm-hmm.
So same kind of vulnerability, but what's going on with the directory specifically? What are the dangers there and are POP chains involved?
So the dangers of PHP object injection are always going to be the same, that potential for code execution with all those nasty consequences we talked about.
Yeah.
But with a directory, exploiting this vulnerability is even more dependent on a POP chain.
Oh, okay.
So think of it like the vulnerability is like a locked door.
Right.
And the POP chain is the key.
Okay.
Without that key, the attacker can't get in.
Got it.
And in this case, the key is often found in another plugin or theme that also has a vulnerability.
Oh, interesting. So it's not even just a directory by itself.
Right.
It's like you need a directory and then something else that also has a vulnerability to really be able to exploit it.
Right.
Okay, so that's interesting. So we've got these two plugins. Both have a PHP object injection vulnerability, but the real threat comes from the POP chain.
Exactly.
So what can our listeners do to protect themselves, not only from these specific vulnerabilities, but just from the whole POP chain issue in general?
I mean, honestly, the best thing you can do is just regularly update your plugins and themes.
Yeah.
Think of it like giving your website a regular checkup.
Makes sense.
Developers are constantly patching these vulnerabilities. So just by staying up to date, you drastically reduce the chances of having that code just sitting on your site waiting to be exploited.
Okay, so big takeaway today. Be aware that even popular plugins can have vulnerabilities and stay proactive. Keep everything updated.
Absolutely.
That's great advice. And I think it brings up a really interesting question, as we wrap up this episode. Like, how do you balance the convenience of plugins? Because we love plugins, right?
They do.
They do so much.
Yeah.
With the need for robust security.
Yeah. I mean, that's a constant balancing act that we all have to deal with as WordPress users.
Yeah, something to ponder.
Definitely.
Well, thanks for joining us for another WP Safe Block.
Of course.
Stay vigilant, keep your WordPress site secure, and we'll be back tomorrow with a fresh batch of vulnerabilities.
Looking forward to it.
Until then, happy and safe WordPressing.
Happy WordPressing. Bye. See ya.